Another deadline is next week with roster cuts getting down to 53 players. That could create some urgency with some talks league-wide on a potential trade. But I just checked with some people around the league. They say that, there really isn't a huge market right now. It's not like there's anything buzzing league-wide about a Jimmy Garoppolo trade. Cleveland Browns right now, as far as I've heard, are prepared to stand pat with Jacoby Brissett and other options. Maybe that changes in the next 4 days before roster cuts.
Kind of a shame for Jimmy G. Did all that in San Fran, yet can't seem to catch a cold around the league. So, Sam, I ask you, is Trey Lance ready to lead a Super Bowl contending team at this point?
No, but this is the preseason, right? Like, this is still the preseason. There's still a few weeks before the season starts, and there's still going to be some growing pains early in the season. We talked about it. In the preseason, all you're seeing are vanilla defenses. When the regular season comes up, you're going to see more complex defenses, different types of pressures and different types of blitzes, even different types of disguises. And so you're going to go through a little bit of growing pains, but that's why you have such a great team around him. Defensively, a top 10 defense. And then that's why you sign back the players that you sign back. That's why you have Trent Williams and George Kittle. That's why you get Deebo Samuel to help get your young quarterback ready for when it really matters, right? Win early, but November football, December football, and now even January football. I think he will be ready when it matters. But right now, you're still in a lot of ways a rookie figuring out what the game looks like.
Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, let me take it back a little bit to what Jeremy was just saying. This is much bigger with the Jimmy G situation than I think people understand. It's much more, it's much bigger than just the money. And I get the 24, 26, whatever the money is that he's guaranteed. Shanahan has been involved with this with RG3 and Kirk Cousins being on the same. He understands what happens if Trey Lance continues to struggle early in the season, and what fans are going to be saying, what guys maybe in the locker room are saying. And I get the teams like we've moved on. This is Trey's team. Guess what? Them grown men in the locker room whose checks depend on playoffs, going to Super Bowls, those kind of things, they aren't sold out yet, right? So they understand it's not just the money, it's about moving on, so there is no plan B, right? It is Trey Lance's team. We have fully committed to him. Again, all the draft numbers, all those people are like, oh, they've definitely committed. Not if that dude's still in the locker room. And I've been a guy who said, let's keep Jimmy G in case he doesn't play well. He's only taking you to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game in 3 years. So when he is healthy, he has done good things for this football team. He may not have the upside. They win. So I'm not really sure what you're looking at. But if I'm Shanahan sitting in that thing, it's more than just the money. It's, can I deal with the distraction for an entire season? It's disappointing to see anytime this is the way we're leading a show with football. This ain't the way we want to start it. So from a football player perspective, it's obviously disappointing. As far as the suspension, though, I don't think he's going to be suspended. I think I'm sure the league has sent the Rams a little letter of saying, hey, you have to handle this internally. Let's make sure there's a fine here that's appropriate. But disappointing to see two of your best teams in the NFL having this happen. We understand that the skirmishers are going to bring brought up. Listen, I played for a coach in Tony Dungy who, he finds you in practice like you would be fined in a game. So he ejected you out of practice and you took that $15,000 fine if you threw hands in a practice, because he said, listen, we're getting ready for games. So if this is what you do in a game, you're going to be ejected and you're going to have to pay this fine. So disappointing. I'm sure that Aaron, whenever he addresses it, will know that he has regret in that. But, again, I don't think a suspension is what's going to happen. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, you look at Donald. He's got his helmet on and two helmets, one in each hand. Jeremy, what are all the tentacles of all this moving forward?
Well, from the NFL perspective, I'm told this is very clear. The clubs are not responsible for overseeing the conduct of players in joint practices. And so it's up to the LA Rams to decide. I checked with somebody with the Rams just now. I was told that they are reviewing the matter, that they're going to look at the tape. They're going to have some conversations about that. But it's largely going to be up to head coach Sean McVay to levy a potential fine here. Nothing determined yet.
We would be having a very different discussion if he was swinging that helmet with somebody who wasn't wearing a helmet and there was a serious injury in all this. Sam, if you look at this, what do you think?
Yeah, well, thankfully, everyone there had helmets on, right? So thankfully we're not having that discussion that you're talking about. But I think that in football, when it comes to in the trenches, emotions get hot and high. And no, I'm not excusing by any means what Aaron Donald did. Yeah. But also you think about what led to this. There have been brawls going on consistently throughout these last couple days with this team specifically, at least yesterday. There was talks of players for the Bengals taking off helmets and throwing them at other players. And so for me, it's hard for me just to look at this clip and say he should be suspended without going back and saying, hey, let's review the other tape as well. It's almost like we have this desire to just watch 30 seconds of something. Yeah. without looking at what happened in 3 minutes or 30 minutes before.
Yeah, it's always important. We want to see the full context. So, Jeff, I come back to you for the last word on this.
Yeah, again, I don't think anybody is trying to justify what he did. It's definitely wrong. You don't want to see it. But again, the NFL is pretty clear on the way this gets handled. And anytime it's in a practice, it gets handled through the team. Again, disappointed in that it happened at all and that we have to address it. But we are. Again, I don't think anybody's justifying his actions or saying what he did was right. Yeah. But ultimately, we'll see how the Rams and Sean McVay handle it.
And what we've seen in all this, nobody hurt, so I'm just happy nobody was hurt in all of this, at least as far as we know.
Yeah, coaches love these because they feel like it's a controlled environment where nobody gets hurt. They can stay above injury, but they are scared to death of these fights. I was at Jets-Giants yesterday. They cut that thing out 90 minutes, in and out, vanilla, like they don't want any problems.
Yeah, we even saw it on Hard Knocks, by the way. Dan Campbell saying to his team, hey, I want you guys playing tough, no fights. It's like they don't want to cross that line, but that's what happened here. Let's go right to the game of the night, you guys. Get back on the football field. Trey Lance and the Niners taking on the Texans, and this one will focus on Trey Lance. First quarter, first possession for the Niners. Lance being chased, tosses to Kyle Juszczyk, who makes the catch. 15 yards, first down. Later in the drive, 3rd and 2, Lance drops back, lofting the long pass to Debo, who cannot reel it in. Sam, up and down night for him.
Yeah, the ball looked a little bit underthrown, but great play by Steven Nelson on the back end. Armbar, great deflection.
And then here, he gets sacked by Kurt Hinish. So the next play after this, 2nd and 17, Lance trying to connect with George Kittle. Doesn't make it happen. The drive would end in another punt. Late first quarter, inside their own 20, Lance to Malik Turner, 14 yards, first down. He finished 7 for 11 on the night, 49 yards. And here he is reviewing his performance on the night.
Some ups and downs for sure. It never feels good to lose, but man, we'll learn from it, turn the page. Not going to make a bigger deal out of it than we need to, for sure. But yeah, like I said, man, never feels good to lose. Some ugly stuff out there for sure.
Yeah, not good. But he's played 5 series this preseason, completing 11 of 16 passes, 141 yards, and a touchdown. Didn't throw an INT, but he's been sacked twice. He also added 8 rushing yards on 2 carries. And the 49ers opened the regular season against the Bears in Chicago on September 11th. So, Sam, what was your single biggest takeaway from Trey Lance's performance last night?
Well, obviously, he was being pressured left and right. That was probably my biggest takeaway. He was getting pressured from all angles, and Jerry Hughes did a great job getting pressure on the quarterback. But another takeaway that I had from a defender's perspective is ball security. If I'm watching tape on him and saying, hey, we're going to get a chance to play the 49ers, I'm looking at that ball. This was a 3rd and 17, and obviously this play was called back as a penalty on the back end. But I'm saying you have a quarterback who likes to scramble, a quarterback who's been loose with the ball a little bit, not a fumble yet, but there's a play later in the game where the ball was deflected. It wasn't a fumble, but it could have been. Those are the plays that I'm looking at from the defender's point of view and saying we can capitalize on this when the regular season comes.
And look, we're nitpicking a little bit, but this is a guy who's only thrown like 70 so passes in the league so far in his career. So, Jeff, what did you see from Lance last night that you'd like to see improve?
Yeah, it's exactly what I expected in all honesty, Ryan. And to your point, he's thrown less than 400 passes in college and pro combined. Wow. So I think your expectation, this is what it should look like, right? He has a play early to Sam's point. He gets rushed. Hughes is chasing him. He wants that back, right? You want to make that completion. You're running the sideline. Here's a deep ball to Debo Samuel. Again, defensive back makes a heck of a play to knock this thing down. But again, as a quarterback, you want that thing back, stretch it out there a little further. And this is a must-have. Kittle a little short out right there. You got to put that ball on him, let him catch it and go get a first down and convert there. So there are some things he's going to go away. There was nothing pretty about it. But again, let's talk about perception and reality. In reality, in the real season, on a 3rd and 2, they're probably not a deep bomb to Debo Samuel. They'll use his legs more in a zone read. They'll bring more of the offense in. And then another thing, Jerry Hughes was absolutely creating chaos in the backfield all night long. So if a quarterback doesn't have experience and is getting pressure, those things are devastating for a quarterback. He'll continue to learn. 49ers fans are going to have to get accustomed to this. He's going to have some highlight days and some really ugly days. That's the process of developing a quarterback, and it's going to be no different for Trey Lance.
So, Jeremy, what are you hearing about Lance's progress so far?
Yeah, when I talk to teams around the league, a theme emerges. They say that the 49ers will be less efficient under Trey Lance because he's still learning, but they're going to be more explosive. He can hit the deep ball. He can run the ball. That they're going to have those splash plays maybe they didn't have under Jimmy Garoppolo. And so The problem is you don't have the splash plays like last night. It can look a little pedestrian. Now, one scout I was texting with pointed out, like, Kyle Shanahan wasn't showing all that much last night. Probably a little vanilla game plan. They're going to be really exotic come game day. With all the misdirection, that's going to help Trey Lance look a little better.
Right. He's going to run a lot more, which is what they want. But, Jeremy, you can't talk about Trey Lance without talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's still on everybody's mind. Yeah. What's the timeline as it concerns him moving forward?
Well, you're looking at week 1. That's when his salary locks in. You're talking about $24 million that would be guaranteed at that point around September 10th, that Tuesday of game week. And so that's the